What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How was everybody doing this Saturday? Appreciate everybody hanging out in chat, showing up, showing out, as you guys always do every single Saturday, showing a ton of love to the podcast. Now, I do have to say, we did have to reschedule the guest. So he will be back another time. Still, shout out to him. Appreciate him for taking time to let me know that. But we still will have an awesome show lined up for you guys. So appreciate everybody in chat. Hit the like button if you're new here. Subscribe to the Shop Podcast. Thank you guys so much for always showing up, giving us energy. So shout out to everybody in chat right now. Got Lord Master Jasper, Andrew, Sean Su Monitor, everybody hanging out with us. Thank you guys. But let's go ahead and get to my compadres here. We've had a great week. A lot of stuff to talk about this week. We were just kind of sorting through it before the show, but let's get to my compadres here. More importantly, Mr. Pong Soul, how you doing this week, brother? Uh-oh. I think he's still muted.
Oh, he's muted.
There, is that better? Yeah, my mic is still being funky on me. I thought I had everything figured out, but yeah, it's still doing this weird thing on me every once in a while. It's not as bad as it has been, but we're still working through that. But anyway, sorry, everybody. Yeah, no, it's great to be back, PTK, with two of my favorite people in the whole wide world, of course, yourself and Fuzzy. Sorry we couldn't have a guest tonight, but that's all right. The three of us, the three amigos, we're going to take care of business because we had a lot to talk about. I've been back on my Battlefield BS, PTK. As I was telling you behind the scenes, man, I re-downloaded that. I was playing Cult of the Lamb, but I wound up having way too many problems. As some people have heard, there are issues with that game, and they started to mount for me where I was losing too much time. So I actually stopped playing Cult of the Lamb, and I'm going to wait for a couple patches. Love the game, was addicted to it. Great game. But it does have its issues, so I'm going to wait on that. So then what I was doing, I was kind of like, man, what am I going to play? Yeah, I spent $120 on Battlefield. Everybody's been kind of showing up again on it. It's been looking real good from the videos I've been watching, plus the season's going on. I'm like, I got the Battle Pass because I bought the big edition. I'm like, let's jump into Battlefield, see how it's playing. Yeah, it's playing real well. Enjoying the hell out of the new maps, some of the new modes they put in. The 64 on 64 is working flawlessly right now. Just having a blast. I've had those Battlefield moments that I missed. Now, are they as consistent as they used to be in some of the Battlefields? No, but they're there now, and it's feeling real good. I can run around and support, med, healing people, reviving people, and it actually works the way it's supposed to. And so I've been having a great time with Battlefield. Other than that, Mav and I jumped into some Tribes of Midgard that launched this past week on Wednesday night. That was the PC darling for a few months last year, and then it kind of drifted away because they didn't have as much content as people were expecting. Well, they've added a ton. They're actually on season 3, and it's finally come to Xbox, and it's only $20 for the regular edition. You can buy the deluxe for $30 with some cosmetics, but and a pet or something like that. But I just bought the $20 one. I had it pre-ordered, and Mav and I jumped into it and played through the prologue, and I actually played through the tutorial as well. But we played through the prologue. Great game. You could do a lot worse for $20. If you've got people to play with, pick up Tribes of Midgard if you're into that style. It's not full survival, but it is. You do have to go collect resources and build and do that kind of stuff, but it's also got tower defense to it. You got to protect your base, protect the living tree in the middle, and they've got different modes as well, but I'm just talking about the main saga mode. But the actual gameplay itself and the artistic direction that they took really appeals to me, and Mav and I were having a great time with it. He tried it on PS5, but couldn't find anybody to play with him because nobody plays multiplayer over on PS5. So he was happy to pick it up on Xbox, and we're probably going to hop back into it sometime during this weekend again. But yeah, I had a great time with it. But otherwise, it's pretty much been a couple games of Battlefield here and there, and that's what I did this week. It's been fun, man.
Awesome. Lot to talk about too. A lot of unexpected stuff. So we got a lot to unpack.
A lot to jump into, man.
Obviously, buckle up, chat. What's up to all the frauds? Ashtray Blue. What's up, fellas? How y'all doing today? Boba Fett. Shout out to everybody in chat. Appreciate you guys' continued support. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is out. What's up, She Snow, Ashtray 4G QTV. What's up? Hanging up. Everybody hanging out with us, man. Thank you guys so much. So, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, how you been this week, man? What's going on, Fuzz?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, but man, oh man, it's just been like nonstop Twitter Spaces and just random stuff on the internet, and a lot of good gaming news in between that stuff. But man, just been playing a lot of GT 7 and a little bit of Forza Horizon 5, some Insurgency, some Division, which I guess PC people are having issues with Division now, so they're like, getting their pitchforks out about it. But everything's running smooth on console as far as that's concerned. But man, oh man, it's just some interesting topics to get into. So glad to be here with you guys and everyone in the chat. So let's get into it.
Man, let's dive right in. You guys already know who I am. Shout out to everybody in chat. Smitty, Silk Slayer, Silent. What's up, Silent? How y'all doing? What's up, XBI? I know they probably gonna fall through later too if you hear Silent. So you already know. I'm sure Louis behind you. Shout out to Sour Blow. Shout out to everybody out there hanging out with us, man. But let's go ahead and get started. You know me, PTK Blam, host with the most here, man. Let's get into our poll of the week, man. We do this every week on Twitter. If you don't know, follow me below. All of that information is down in the description. So we're gonna start with the poll of the week, and this one was Call of Duty related. I kind of wanted to see where the community was gonna go with this. So shout out to everybody who supported the poll, who voted. Once again, follow me below. Really easy thing to do if you want to be a part of that. But thank you guys for voting. So we talking a little Call of Duty, and this was a bit divided, as I kind of predicted that, just due to the fact that the age range in the gaming community is so vast. So it was with MW2 dropping this year. What Call of Duty would you consider peak COD? Now, a lot of us are older. Like I said, is a huge age range on this, but I had COD 4, MW2, Black Ops, MW3. MW2 ran away with it. 56% voted Modern Warfare 2 was peak Call of Duty. So I'm going to get to my fellas here. Hopefully, I'm back on a streak here with you, Pong. Ultimately, if we can at least get that, then I think we'll get this show started on the right foot. Let me know, chat. am I back on a good streak?
It was fine. It was fine. I'll let it pass this week. That's fine. You're back on a streak, PTK.
Man,
you're back on a streak.
We're back, chat.
Yeah, you're back. That's fine. I could have argued with you and not including World at War in here, but that's okay. I'll leave it as is. That's fine. It's okay. These are some prime examples of Call of Duty. I can't argue with you too much here. So, out of this list, and again, this is going to be personal. There's two separate ways to look at your polls, as always, PTK. So I gotta kind of use my discretion here. So I'm taking it from the personal route. COD4. The first Modern Warfare is the peak for me. I believe that's the best Call of Duty ever put out, hands down, bar none. And again, like you said, it's going to be a generational age type thing as well when it comes to these, because Call of Duty spanned now 3 generations of game players basically at this point. So it is going to be generational, but I think Call of Duty 4 for me was peak. Now, if we were talking about the masses, I definitely would agree Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2 is in terms of popularity. When Modern Warfare 2 hit back in the day, that was the peak of Call of Duty. That was a phenomenon. It was crazy. It was insane.
What's strange about that?
Yeah.
The highest sold Call of Duty is Black Ops 1.
Correct.
That's the top selling Call of Duty of all time, which is strange. A lot of people don't realize that. That's the game I put second most time into out of any Call of Duty outside of Black Ops 2. So the Black Ops series for me, but I get what you're saying.
You want to know why though, PTK? It didn't hit right off the bat until Zombies.
I mean, Zombies definitely helped.
Zombies changed the game. I'm saying for legs wise, why it became the biggest selling title is once Zombies blew up, it was over with, right?
That's true. Zombies did.
Yeah, that was the deal with that one. But I'm just talking about just overall hype. Modern Warfare 2. Everybody. I didn't know a single person who owned a 360 back then that didn't have Modern Warfare 2 in their library. I literally didn't. And there was even guys who never played first-person shooters before playing Modern Warfare 2. That's why I say it. But again, it is kind of opinionated no matter what. So, but COD4 was my personal choice.
Okay. Once again, nothing wrong with that. Not criticizing your choice. Sorry to sorry to sound like that. Like I'm
Oh
criticizing
no,
your
I
choice.
didn't take it as you criticizing. Hell no, not at all.
Got it for sure. Shout out to what just happened. Shout out to She's No General Spartan. What's up, Crazy Greek? Shout out to everybody hanging out live here at the Shop Podcast. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Hopefully, all you guys are having a lot of fun. Once again, tell your friends we're here live. We're talking about a little bit about peak Call of Duty. Once again, chat, let us know, what is peak Call of Duty for you? There's a lot of different eras. This could span a lot of different ways. Once again, I believe Black Ops 1, in my opinion, followed by shortly Black Ops 2 is peak Call of Duty, in my opinion. I put the most time in those games, but we're gonna throw this over to you, Fuzz. Let us know, chat, which one is peak for you. Fuzz, where are you at on this? Which one is peak to you?
I go back and forth between Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare 2. I'm trying to see. I haven't touched either one of them in a while. The first one, I guess, was it Call of Duty 4, right? Where they had the airplane mission at the end. That's the one with the airplane mission at the end, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Call of Duty 4 is my choice. I'm a Modern Warfare fan. Never really cared for Black Ops, but like Call of Duty 4, that game itself was, I think I was still in the reserves at that time. So it was like the first time you really got to see something that was like what we currently had hands on, or at least in our time frame type of thing. So it was more appealing, at least to me at that point, just because it was like their first hurrah in that. And that airplane mission at the end was just so much fun to try to see if you can get through that as fast as you can on the hardest level. But yeah, that pretty much was it. But Modern Warfare 2, a lot of good memories on that, because Modern Warfare, wait, that's the one with the airport mission where
Yeah, that's
was it No
MW2.
Russia?
No Russia.
Yeah, that at the time that one was like peak
Controversial,
controversial,
yeah.
but I don't know. Like, I think the first time I tried to play it, I didn't try shooting any of the people. I tried shooting my own teammates, and then I think it was like on certain levels, it was like an insta death or something like that type of thing. So it was like, it's no matter what, you can't really get around the scripting. So it was like, okay. But yeah, I would say Call of Duty 4 was my end all be all, but Modern Warfare 2 is definitely up there.
No, I could agree. I mean, I can't really disagree with Modern Warfare 2. I was deep into Call of Duty by the time Modern Warfare 2 got around. I was late to COD 4. I was still playing Halo 3 when COD 4 kind of took off. I was kind of late. I was like a year. I bought COD 4 a year after it came out. I was a bit late. Shout out to everybody in chat. But no, you can't really go wrong with any of those. I mean, that goes to show you the juggernaut that Call of Duty is. But chat, let us know which one is peak Call of Duty for you guys. Which one? I mean, it can be really any era. I was saying Black Ops. Pong was saying something else. Fuzz was saying something else. So we all, kind of have different options. But let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, man. Let's go ahead and get started here. I'm actually gonna go ahead and get started this week. We're gonna do how we did last week. We're all gonna get to our own topics here. It's gonna be fun. Shout out to everybody in chat right now. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We're talking a little bit about the Embracer Group. My, and they're still going on a shopping spree. Some information came out this week about them making a huge purchase. The purchase was for Middle Earth Enterprises. Essentially, they got everything, a ton of stuff, Lord of the Rings related. It was a huge deal. Obviously, they're still gobbishing up publishers, developers, making a ton of purchases. It's not just IPs. It's a lot of other cool stuff they're getting as well. They're getting merchandise and branding and all this other cool stuff with movies and possibly scripts and to bring TV shows back, different things like that as well. So I want to get the panel's opinion on this acquisition and them continuing to grow. I know, Pong, you've been a huge fan of Embracer, just because the way they work with developers when they purchase them, they allow them to just kind of do what they're supposed to do and still be creative. So where you at with this, man, when it came out?
Listen, it wasn't just about Lord of the Rings here. They got Tripwire. They got Tripwire, makers of Maneater and Killing Floor. Loved Killing Floor on PlayStation 4 when it came out. It's still got a fan base. They still update it to this day. Obviously, Maneater has its fan base as well. I played it for a little bit. Tripwire is an upcoming studio. So they got Tripwire. Then they got an unannounced studio that due to commercial reasons, they can't say who it is right now. Word is it's going to be the third or fourth biggest part of this deal. So it's definitely not a smaller dev. It's going to be probably another AA, but we're going to have to wait and see what that is. Then they got Limited Run Games on top of that as well. Limited Run Games, obviously the makers of physical copies, limited edition physical copies for games that have been traditionally only been digital, and also do collector's editions and all sorts of stuff. And they just expanded to include Xbox. They started making Xbox limited run games as well. And then you got Lord of the Rings, and then you've got another company, I forget it starts with an S. I can't think of it off the top of my head right now, but they do all the work on like karaoke and that kind of stuff. Listen, I love Embracer Group. Embracer Group is one of my favorite companies right now in this industry. Lars Wolfgars, the CEO of Embracer, is my second favorite bigwig in the gaming industry, right next to Phil. I'd love to see a sit down between him and Phil to chat about the industry and where it's going, because I think they share a lot of the same mentality. Lars, again, we talked about him on here because he did that great interview with GamesIndustry.biz right after the Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal purchase, where he sat down and he talked about his philosophy. Listen, this guy gets it. He's a nerd at heart. He's a big geek like all of us. He started in comic books. He started importing and selling comic books. That was his first business when he was a kid. This guy loves movies, loves TVs, loves games. He grew up on it. And he understands the nostalgia and the history with some of these IP. And it's very interesting what he's doing right now. Embracer Group is becoming, I called this the other night, I said they're becoming a multimedia conglomerate at this point. It's not just about gaming for Lars and Embracer Group. It's about IP that's called transmedia. That's what he calls it. It's the idea that IP can be, something very, very popular in one industry, but also move into if it's a popular game IP, that you can move it into TV, books, whatever, comics. Remember, they bought Dark Horse Comics last year.
Yeah.
This company is making themselves a player when 3 or 4 years ago nobody knew who they were. They decided to gobble up the AA space, which was dying. Right? Indies have become all the rage, and again, if we're using labels right now. I don't necessarily like the labels, but we're using labels because it gives people a better, clearer picture when we're talking about this stuff. The indie scene exploded, right? And obviously AAAs are always going to be AAAs, and they're always going to be the big ones that, everybody's attention is drawn to. The AA market is where things were starting to cool off and a lot of things were dying off. And that AA market is actually a lot of the bread and butter that was around for the 360 and PS3 era that really gave us a lot of gems, okay? A lot of gems. And even going back to the PS2 era and that kind of stuff. So the AA market was really dying, and these devs were having a hard time. We had all this IP laying out there that was not being used, and it was being forgotten about because nobody wanted to take a risk on it. Nobody would think that it was worth their time to do it because it's not a part of their business model. Well, here comes Embracer Group and Lars, who loves this stuff. Again, I always bring up Time Splitters. Time Splitters was so amazing when it came out, and it had such a fan base, and then it just completely died and everybody forgot about it, and I never thought I'd see it again. Along comes Lars, who remembers Time Splitters. The IP, he just buys it, and then he goes out and gets some of the original devs to come in and redo the game, and we're going to get a Time Splitters 4 out of this in this generation in the next couple of years. It's absolutely insane to me, but this is what he believes in, and he believes that games, and we're going to stick to mostly games here. I'll talk a little bit outside of that, but because we're a game show, but Lord of the Rings is, it's so much bigger. But anyway, massive, yeah. As far as Embracer with the gaming portion, right? He even came out with a new quote this week when he was talking about this, and of course I'm paraphrasing. I'm not reading from anything right now, but he said that games are great for long-term IPs. They're really great. They're really profitable. They can be very good, but they're not. And he said they're great for established IP. They're not great for creating new IP. And what he's talking about there is we all love new IP, but it's a very risky proposition. So in his head, as far as the gaming side of things go, and you can see this from what he's doing, he'd rather go get old IP that may be just nostalgic, but still has a living, breathing fan base, no matter how big or small that fan base is. And he'd rather take a risk of letting devs work on that kind of stuff and bring it back where the name is already recognizable, even if it's a small portion of gamers. He knows it's going to draw attention. So he'd rather go that route with that. And then he turned around and he talked about Lord of the Rings this week as well, after this purchase was made. And he said, having the Lord of the Rings IP available for his teams to work on without having to worry about the licensing, to have it control of it long term, was so vital.
That's crazy.
Was so vital. Yes, and again, from a gamer side of things, now that Embracer Group has Lord of the Rings, let me reiterate some of the figures here for you now. After these purchases were just made, Embracer Group now has 120 dev teams. They own 850 IP or franchises. They have over 200 games currently in development. They have 25 AAA games due out in the next 4 years. So they're not just moving in that AA space, they're also moving in a AAA space. They're growing some of these AA dev teams, kind of like Xbox did with Obsidian, with In Exile, Compulsion. We're seeing the same thing happen underneath Embracer Group. He's growing those teams. He's going to give them the funding. And these teams are going to take the next step up into that lower rung AAA kind of genre. And so what he said with the Lord of the Rings, though, and from a gamer's perspective, what I think is that 120 dev teams, you don't think there might be probably 10, 15 different dev teams out there who once in their past 20 years of programming, of deving, of creating games, never once thought and had a great idea for a new Lord of the Rings game while they were creating something else, but they didn't have access to the IP, but now they do. Their parent company owns Lord of the Rings. You don't think there's not going to be dev teams standing with their hands up going at the next Zoom meeting and going, hey, boss, yeah, we got this fantastic Lord of the Rings idea. We'd like to get with you. Lars is going to listen to those, and we're going to get more Lord of the Rings games than we've seen in a while. We've had some really great Lord of the Rings games, but there's a lot of genres that have been missing. We don't get RTS's Lord of the Rings. Battle for Middle-earth was one of the best RTSs ever. We don't get that genre anymore. There's a chance we're going to see more Lord of the Rings than ever. And he did talk about the other side, the movie, TV side of things with Lord of the Rings, and he named specifically being able to take some of the characters and do their own thing, like a Gandalf, and have a series or a movie based on Gandalf, right? And he went down the list of different characters from Lord of the Rings. Again, Lars is so much like Phil, it's ridiculous. Now, they're going about things a little bit differently because, again, AA versus AAA is a totally different market, and obviously Microsoft and Xbox have a whole lot of other things going on, but they're setting themselves up right now, PTK, as a one-stop shop.
Oh, yeah.
They aren't the Ubisofts and the EA, the legacy publishers that have established themselves.
They view gaming completely different.
They do. But what they're doing is now that they have all this content and all this IP, listen, I keep saying this. Yes, they could eventually come out with their own subscription service and shop it to Xbox, shop it to PlayStation, kind of like Ubisoft Plus, like EA Play. They're going to have that opportunity. But even let's say they just stay traditional and they're just making games and they're publishing them everywhere. Let's say Phil wakes up and looks at his roadmap for next year and says, you know what? God, we really need an action RPG in June. Where am I going to get an action RPG? We got kind of a hole here. I need it for Game Pass. We need that. We need to fill that hole. He's going to pick up the phone, call Lars, and be like, Lars, look, man, next June, I need an action RPG. You got anything cooking? And Lars is going to be like, yeah, in fact, I've got like 4 of them. And Phil's going to be like, send me what you got. Let me take a look at them. This is going to be the one-stop shop for everybody when they need games. Now, I'm not talking, I hope that, they do all these exclusive time deals or whatever the case may be. I could care less about exclusivity. But what I'm saying is, from a business standpoint, they are going to be able to service everybody's needs in one spot with the way that they're building out their company right now. And it's not just going to be about gaming. Not to mention that Lars also loves board games. If you guys didn't know that, he loves board games. They have a board game division there. This IP that they're buying up and gobbling up, it ain't just all about gaming. We're going to see it everywhere. And again, that lowers the risk. They can take more risk with their gamings if they've got their hands in other businesses as well. And that's what's happening right here. So I love Embracer Group, love Lars. Again, I want to see us sit down with him and Phil to talk about the future of the industry, because their mindset, man, it's refreshing to know that there's people in charge at these companies that get it. Now, again, we're going to have to see how they handle failure. That is going to be the litmus test. We could have an EA situation with 120 dev teams. They got investors that back them that are not in the gaming industry. You know, Saudi royal family is one of them. Saudis are involved in this. They've backed them with a lot of money. Those investors, when a failure happens and they spend a lot of money on a game and it comes out and it bombs, which will happen. Again, nobody's perfect. It's going to happen. What are they going to do then? Are they going to let the dev team move forward? Or is it going to be an EA situation because they have 120 studios? They say, yeah, just didn't work out. Sorry, guys, we're folding up shop. We're going to, disperse the devs to our other teams. Is it going to be that type of situation? That's where we'll see what this company is really all about in failure. But right now, at face value, I love Embracer Group and I love where they're going.
Absolutely. So great breakdown. Fantastic breakdown. Like you said, a lot to unpack with this deal. A ton. I mean, obviously, I started off with Lord of the Rings, and getting something like an IP like Lord of the Rings is almost on a level of getting like a Star Wars, right? Like you're essentially getting an entire universe. You're getting that IP. You're being able to do TV shows, board games, comic books, anything that you can think of with that IP. So it's super, super dope what they're doing. We've talked about Embracer quite a bit here at the Shop Podcast, off and on. Obviously them and Tencent, being, huge investors in the gaming industry. So we love what Embracer's doing, though. Love what they're doing. Like you said, it'd be very interesting to see what they do. I mean, they could. I never really, and it's funny that you brought that up, Pong. I never really considered that they could essentially do a service of their own, considering how many devs they have and how much IPs they own. They really could do their entire service.
Yep. It would be ridiculous too. It would be so many games. My God, can you think about how much they own? Once they get the roadmap set, once they get everybody settled in, and they're not done yet either, by the way, they're going to continue to make purchases. But after all the dust settles and they get everything kind of laid out, all the teams start functioning at full speed underneath Embracer. Think about what kind of they could have a service that legitimately puts out probably about 20 games a year plus into a service on top of already the established franchises they own. They could have available in that service. It'd be huge. It'd be like another Game Pass dropping. So again, depending on what they would charge, whatever the case may be, we'll see if they ever decide to do that. They could stay traditional, but it would be interesting if they decided their own service and see how that would work out, because it could be incredible for sure.
All right, well, let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Get your opinion. Once again, chat, let us know how you guys feel about this Embracer Group deal. They're making huge strides in the gaming industry, doing a lot of creative things, and I think that's the biggest thing I'm excited for is they are making these purchases, but they're not in jest. They're not just purchasing these IPs that have just to say, hey, this is part of our catalog. They actually have plans for all these IPs that they're purchasing and they're diversifying. So
and they're getting good deals. They're getting good deals.
Dude, they're getting, I don't know who's doing the auditing on these deals.
Look, Lars must be one of the best salesmen out there, because he is getting bang for his buck on every single one of these deals. Hands down.
Crazy. He's making, don't even, go ahead, Fuzz.
No, I was just going to say he's the type of guy that would have gotten a better price on Insomniac. It sounds he definitely goes for things that they can definitely put to use and that they're going to put to use within a short amount of time. I think the big thing, if they ever do create their own service, fingers crossed that it winds up being like an add-on, possibly like an EA or like an Ubisoft Plus or something like that to one of the existing services, whether you're on PlayStation or on Xbox with Game Pass. But yeah, they are definitely, looking to make some noise in this gaming space, in the sense that I kind of feel that they want to not necessarily outdo an EA or an Ubisoft, but at least when you mention like the big publishers out there, that their name definitely gets mentioned in that conversation, because some of the moves that they're making. But I think the big thing that I'm kind of still curious about is that unnamed developer that, because of commercial reasons and stuff. And I had my own little theory, but it's probably out of the price range, but there is some some financial movement going on with Discovery and WB. I think they got another investor to take on the CW stuff. Although it doesn't look like they got any of the DC licensing to go along with it, so I don't know how that's going to work out in the end. But I kind of wonder, considering that they have the Lord of the Rings IP, it would be a almost a perfect time for somebody to pick up Monolith or something along those lines. But I think that might be out of the price range. But who knows? I guess we'll find out in a few months and stuff. But yeah, Embracer. Hopefully they stay on the good side of gamers. Right now, everything is roses, but like Pong said, it's going to be interesting to see if they ever do hit that speed bump where a game doesn't hit quite as they expected and they don't get the return on investment. Hopefully they at least give them another chance. It's like, all right, that's your first strike, but this is a 2-strike game, not a 3-strike game. So it's like you get back to the studio, heads down, hunker down, and put out another game before we close you. Or if they just, close the door. All right, everybody disperse to other studios within the fold, and if there's room or positions available, and everybody else, sorry, type of thing. But hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully they will be able to absorb some of, those bumps in the road type of deal. But man, I definitely want to see what they do, what they bring to the table now as far as Lord of the Rings games, going forward.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I'm happily awaiting a lot of the games that they have, coming out over the next 6 months. And it just seems like, if they did make their own service, 20 games a year, that's being on the conservative side.
That's crazy.
But let's just see if they ever get into the hardware space. If they start talking to AMD, then I think Phil and what's his name, Jim Ryan might have a problem on their hands, because that'll be definitely a hard thing to compete with as far as overall, even if it's just AA level. But having your own device and having a constant flow of content, that's hard to beat no matter what. But man, oh man, it's awesome to see.
Yeah, it's crazy to see. Crazy to see. So once again, chat, we're doing this week a little bit different. And before I move on, shout out to chat again. Chris Jones, Boba Fett, Ray Oid. Shout out to everybody hanging out with us. What's up, Gabe? Shout out to Gabe falling through. Everybody hanging out with us once again. Retweet the link. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live. So I'm gonna be throwing this baton over to you, Mr. Pong Soul. He has a lot to talk about. We got a phenomenal topic. I can't wait to dig in on this. But go ahead, Pong.
Yeah, so this week, obviously, QuakeCon was happening, and obviously there was a lot of talk about the PC side of things. There was no console announcements, which kind of disappointed a lot of the community, expecting to maybe get that teaser of the new Quake reboot. They did confirm that it is working on something. They're just not ready to show us. So there wasn't a whole lot for us console peasants out here. But at the end of the day, they did have a great interview with Arcane Austin on Redfall. They are on that Bethesda marketing trend, and I think that Redfall is closer than we may all think, because of how this is all kind of playing out here. But they really sat down with a good portion of the upper part of the team. They showed some new footage along with some of the old footage out there as well, but they talked a lot. It was, I think it went like 20 minutes. I think Mav said 25 minutes, something like that in total. About 25 minutes. But they really deep dive a lot of different things. Now, we've heard bits and pieces through other interviews. Obviously, after the showcase, we did get some interviews there, and we learned some more. But this one really, they talked about each aspect of the game. And for me, my hype levels for Redfall were already high, really high, because it's Arcane, and I love Arcane, and I love what they do. It's a looter shooter, which is right up my alley. And I said from the beginning, and we talked about it here when we first learned about Redfall, that Arcane is the one studio that I would trust to take a genre like a looter shooter and give it its own spin, because that's what Arcane's known for. They always have their own twists and turns, their own type of mechanics, and the way they broke down Redfall, nothing surprised me except for, I would say, the size of the game
I was
much
surprised
larger.
by that as well.
It was much larger than I thought it was going to be. But overall, it was just a great interview with a lot of information. So I'm really curious from you two, and we'll start with you, PTK. What stood out for you through this interview? I hope you got a chance to watch it, because I'm going to ask you about this. What stood out to you from what they were saying? Was there anything was there anything more than just the size? Was there anything else they said that kind of piqued your interest here with Redfall? What did you think, PTK?
So the balance of the game, right? So we know the game can be played in multiple instances. You can play this game via co-op, right?
Yep.
Or you can play this game single player. And the way they've been able to just seemingly now, once again, we're only getting this from the small videos and obviously people that work at the studio high up in the devs. So, but from what I understand, the instances in the game, the different ways you're going to be able to go through this game, the day of time, the day, the fact that it might be night, it might be foggy, it might not be foggy, all of those aspects determine what happens throughout the game. There's random spawns everywhere. Nothing's the same when you go back through it. The different instances in the game, I didn't think that there would be any variations, right? Like that many ways to beat the game, that many different instances going through the game. Like I heard one dev say he always takes the same route at the beginning of this particular level. Now, once again, I don't know the level off the top of my head, but he said he would always take like the bridge over the lake. But he was watching somebody else play. The dude went down into the lake, and there was a cave down there that he had never even considered. So you know what I mean? Like those various different things and the many ways to tackle the game. So that's what that could be the size as well, right? That could also count to the massive size of the game. So that impressed me. So once again, chat, let us know what you guys feel about Redfall. But that's kind of what stood out to me outside of everything else. Yeah. The storytelling there seems to be a really, really deep story as well between the city and the characters. And, they talked a lot about specifically why they chose like a rural setting compared to a New York City, Los Angeles, things, cities of that size. So a lot of those choices were intentional, which I love. So which means they made them, and you know what I mean? They made them thinking that this is what we're going to go with. So that's what I thought. That's what stood out for me.
And it's to your point, that idea that they are bringing what they learned from their other games, that's Dishonored, right? PTK, yep. That's giving you multiple options to take different routes, to take different play styles through the same map and play it any way you want to, but giving you, as the player, the options on how you're going to tackle, whether it's fighting an enemy, whether it's searching out for something. You have the options, and they're going to give you multiple paths that you can take. That is fantastic too. Love that you brought that into this, because that was another big piece of this that they really honed in on. They even talked about, PTK, I don't know if you heard, that you can stealth the entire game, just like Dishonored, just like Prey.
Wow.
You can go stealth. So that to me is also very cool.
You're going to see so many of those people doing runs on Twitch, like stealth runs and stuff, trying to beat records.
Yep, exactly. So no, great points, PTK, for sure. Again, there was a lot in this interview. It was 25 minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot, but they covered so much. Fuzzy, listen, I know you like Deathloop, so I know you're an Arcane fan. You like what they can bring to the table here. Obviously, you know from playing Deathloop how creative this team is, and they have a history of being creative. This isn't some new dev team handling this. Now, this is a new experience for this dev team because they've never really done multiplayer to this level. But what we heard out of this interview is they built it from the ground up, which we knew, as a single player experience, and then broke it out and added the multiplayer and made sure the multiplayer would be just as a fulfilling experience as the single player. But this started as a single player game, which is what they normally do. Deathloop introduced some multiplayer in a way, right? Interesting mechanic, but not to this degree, right? With having multiple characters. What stood out to you here, Fuzzy, as you watched this? Was there anything that really, really caught your attention?
Oh, there's a lot of things, but one of the key things I'd like to talk about is where if you're playing as a single player and you tend to grind a particular part of your skill tree, and you'll have like these certain special abilities, like let's say cloaking or
Yep.
like a status effect type of thing for crowd control. When you go into the co-op, if you're the one that's already leveled up to the max for that, it'll now not only cover for your character, but it'll also cover for your squad that's with you. So
Yeah.
having it where that I guess you could say synergy amongst the players that are in co-op
That's gonna be
because of
cool.
your build. And
Mhm.
meanwhile, you can all be the same exact character and have completely different outcomes as far as the build and the
Yes.
abilities and skill
Yes.
trees and things. So having that range of customization, I mean, as much as I love that in the division,
I was gonna
I
say,
just
you
can't
know what we
wait to
play.
theory craft some stuff
Man.
when it comes to this. And oh, they even though they didn't give us like the whole rundown of the like rarity and breakdown of like the special types of weapons, that they did go into detail of how varied the weapons are. It's going to be everything from full on military grade, like what was left behind by the military, to the farmer that has the shotgun, but also knew how to put like a spotlight on it or something along those lines. So you'll have different ranges of crafting when it comes to your weaponry and different abilities that are different attachments and things that you can either craft or that you'll find already built onto the weapons and things. So all of that stuff, just you know being the looter shooter fan that I am, being the arcane fan that I am, I can't
Mhm.
wait to tear into this game because it just like I'm looking forward to seeing how the cloaking and stealth aspect work, but then
Yeah.
knowing how Deathloop was, sometimes when stealth doesn't work, you have to go loud. I want to see what the wielding pistol type combos that they offer, because they're always good when it comes to dual wielding pistol uh,
Yeah.
uh, you know damage and special abilities and things like that. So I can't wait to see what they got waiting
Yeah,
for us.
no, great. That's right up my alley. Right. Again, you and me are a lot alike in PTK. Obviously, you guys division heads, just like me.
Oh
Whatever
yeah.
else the case may be,
Oh yeah.
the builds are the most important part. And again, that's what impressed me because this is outside of Arcane's norm. But it
Mhm.
sounds like, and again, until we get the game in our hands, we're not going to know for sure. But it sounds like they have really taken to heart what they're doing here. In even though it's something brand new for them, they have gone the extra steps necessary to make sure that they understand the importance of each one of those aspects when you're building this type of game and what that means to the player experience. Like you said, having the ability to both pick, or all four of you pick the same character, but knowing full well that you're not just stuck to a class like support, right? Just because your character may look like a support, you don't have to play it as a support. If you just like the character and you want to build it out as a tank more so, you can do so in this game. And that's what it sounded like to me. So having those differences between, even if you and I are playing the same character, having a different experience just because it's the way that we want to play, and having that character be able to be molded to that style, that's huge. And that Arcane is taking that on. Kudos to them for doing so. Here's where I'll finish up, and I got a question for both of you, kind of end this. But again, I talked about the size. For people who may not have watched this interview, please do go check it out. Again, there was some new footage in there, some of the old stuff, but new footage. But it was just a great overall interview to listen to the devs. The size, Prey, the entire space station. They took the actual entire space station to scale from Prey, and they dropped it directly into the Redfall game to just see how big of an area they had created. And that space station took up one farm out in the outskirts. Now remember, in Redfall it's divided into
Into
two
sections.
parts. You've
Yeah.
got a city part, and then you got the kind of suburbs outskirts with the church and the farms and that kind of area. So they dropped it in there, and it took up one of the farms. That farm accounts for one of the main missions. That's it in the entire game. But that's the entire space station that Prey was actually enclosed in. So that's how big this game is. Again, I knew it was going to be obviously bigger than, Prey or anything like that, but I had no idea it was that size. When I started thinking about that, I'm like, wow, there's going to be a lot to explore.
Oh
Um,
man.
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be insane. Here's my final question to both of you. And you guys can answer this, whoever wants to answer this. Arcane, we know, might have been on the chopping block if ZeniMax had not sold. And the reason why, not because they make bad games. In fact, they make critically acclaimed games. But they had never had commercial success to a degree that they should have, right? Their games never sold that well. Now, it's going to be a little different here because obviously being Microsoft Xbox first party, sales don't matter because it's going to drop into Game Pass day and date. But it's also going to be on PC as well. So we've got to consider that. Do you guys think, like I do, that this game, the way it's shaping up from the things that we are seeing, that this could be the most played Arcane game ever? That this could be the one that really puts them on the map that we see everybody playing? What do you guys think about that?
I guess I'll chime in on that one first. So this game it's every time I see it surprises me, and it's a pleasant surprise every time, more than a pleasant surprise. So like you said, the size of the game, but do I think that it could become the most played Arcane game ever? Absolutely. I definitely think it has that potential, considering the different ways you can play it. There's going to be people that are going to just do different builds, run through this game in particular ways. Like you said, there's a stealth way to run through the game, so people are going to do that. People are going to stream it, try and break world records, and there's so many different ways to tackle a game like this. And with a world that size, with so much mystery, people forget there's a legitimate storyline here. This is not
lore is deep. They talked about that.
Deep lore. They talked about posters on the wall changing depending on like people you meet. Like you might be reading a poster and then turn around and see the same person on the poster, or vice versa. Like you just depending on the actions in the world, the time of day, all those things factor into it. This is a really, really, really like well built out idea. This is not some, here's just a shared open world and we're gonna let you run around in it. It's really, really a lot more than just that. And that's what surprised me every time I see it, Pong. Like I said, the level of depth that they've been able to put into this game, I can't wait to dive into the story. But the fact that it's going to be on Game Pass, that's a huge benefit. Obviously going to be on Game Pass PC, huge benefit as well. So I think it's going to be a ton of people that play this game day one. I'm going to be 100% honest here. If I had to make like a most anticipated list, it was probably like top 6 or 7 for me. But after seeing this most recent, it's probably shot up to like top 4, in my opinion.
Right.
Game coming out. I can't wait to get into this game. I'm a big, like I said, Destiny, Division. I love that. So this scratches that looter shooter itch. You got a ton of different ways. You got guns and weapons and you got all these abilities and things. That's right where I want to be. So I'm super, super happy about the game. Can't wait to get into it. But I absolutely think that it can be their most played game for sure.
Great breakdown, PTK. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. I agree. Fuzzy, what do you think, man? You on board with this?
Oh, yeah. I think it's definitely going to be one of their most played games. Although I do think Deathloop, once it hits Xbox, because there's a difference between like, that won't, it's not a slight to anybody that's strictly PlayStation, but it's not. It doesn't seem like PlayStation is as interested in the PvP or the multiplayer aspects of like what Deathloop had. So I think that one is definitely going to catch fire when it hits Xbox. And there's going to be a lot of people invading other people's games and, whatnot. So I think that's going to be the talk of the town, especially if they have some additional content. But I think long term, this game is definitely going to occupy a lot of their time as far as constant content updates and people playing it well beyond what they even probably expect. Like I think this game, they probably figure, all right, we'll get a good 2 years out of it in Game Pass where it'll be in circulation with it dying off or waning off a bit like in year 2. We could probably move on to our next project, and it's going to probably be busy enough where they're going to have to extend the team to constantly do content updates while they try to transition to their next project. But I do think this will outdo what they've seen as far as activity on Dishonored and Dishonored 2 even combined. I think this one will definitely put their stamp on the map, I guess you could say, as far as being not just a good storytelling dev, but also a creative dev that has figured out a way to blend, a single player story into a multiplayer environment. I think this will see
I'm
a
so
lot of
interested in
playtime.
seeing that, man. Like the,
Yeah.
the way you just broke that, I'm so interested in seeing that fusion. Like them being able to take, like you said, that just being able to blend the two together with vampire. We don't get a whole lot of vampire games as well either, right?
No.
At least good ones. We get some, but we don't get very many good ones, right? So this
Yeah.
is a whole new Ghostbuster. Like this is some completely different stuff. And for us, like you said, we're big Division Destiny fans. This is we love the looter shooter, we love the grind and
Mhm.
different instances and stuff. We'll run through the same missions as long as you keep giving us cool shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I'll do the same mission 12 times.
Yeah.
Keep dropping those
Yeah.
legendaries. Yeah, you got me. I'm there. So
Yeah.
it's not difficult. Shout out to chat too. Let me know how y'all feel about that. It's very simple for me. So shout out to everybody. UK lad, awful grim bones, Tool man. What's up, brother? How y'all doing? Hanging out with us, man. We deep into this, but I don't. My bad to cut you off. Let's go
No,
ahead,
no,
bro.
no. You're fine. Like I said, this is definitely going to put them on the map as far as within the Xbox Studio fold or Bethesda fold, as more accurately put. But yeah, it's. I think they will hit all the right angles as far as getting people to stay engaged in this game. And I think this will definitely, open a lot of other, eyes within Xbox Studios or Bethesda in general, as far as, okay, we don't just have to rely on them to do, these unique story type single player things. We can also kind of lean on them for some of the things that they've introduced into this co-op experience, and I'm all for it, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, we're not even talking about DLC potential of this game as
Oh,
well.
we
It could
haven't
be
even got
off the
into that.
charts. It could be off the charts. Again, obviously, they're not going to talk about it now, but if
Yeah.
they do go down what we kind of see here, I'm not talking about games as service. Obviously, this is going to be a regular price game, but if this game hits right and it's got the engagement, there's no doubt that Arcane is going to be working on DLC, and this is going to be one of those games that's easy to expand, easy to give new missions to people, all that kind of stuff. Maybe introduce a new character down the road, new weapons. How easy is it to keep a game like this alive at the end of the day if it's doing well for them? And I think that this is going to be that one.
And don't forget about lovable characters.
Yes.
The
Yes,
characters
absolutely.
there seems to be a lot of now I haven't gotten into this for Pong and Fuzz, but there seems to be a lot of depth to each character as well. And I'm curious to get into the backstories and how each character got where they're currently at and how they all ended up together. That's super interesting as well too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I like the lore aspect that they talked about. These aren't just like your typical traditional vampires where it's like,
Correct.
oh, garlic and crosses. It's like kind of blending technology where it's like, oh, you want to live forever? We're going to have these, genetic experiments and things, and then it's like, oh, well, I want to live forever, and they've modified the blood and they've done all these things. So it's like these people wanted to be vampires. They wanted to live forever, and it's basically a by choice type of thing, and it's not like your traditional vampire type story. But I'm curious to see where this goes, because like they even said in the interview, it's like there's some technology things that are along those lines today, and it's like if it all goes wrong, yeah, it's like what was that movie that Will Smith was in? I Am
I
Legend.
Am Legend.
So it's like a kind of like a cross between that and actually genetic engineering, where they wanted to, have, I guess longevity or longer life and stuff like that, as opposed to curing cancer. And it just goes, completely left from what they originally expected. But yeah, this game definitely has my attention.
Absolutely. 100%. Thank you both. Great breakdowns and great opinions for sure. PTK, take over, brother.
Appreciate you, man. One chat, man. We doing it live. Shout out to you, Pong. So it was a great topic, man. I couldn't when you said that's what you were coming here with. I was like, oh yeah, I love that because I almost forgot about it because I was so impressed. I was so impressed with Redfall. Every time I see it, it impresses me. But once again, chat. Shout out to everybody watching live. Retweet that link. Let everybody know we're live. Shout out to you guys in the chat. Hit the link. Like, follow, everything. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We're gonna throw this over to Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, bringing another topic. bringing another topic, man, hitting you guys over the head once again. But where we at, Fuzz? What we doing next?
It's going to probably get a little messy, so fasten those seatbelts, man. It's I'm going to talk about a little bit about PlayStation in reference to Death Stranding coming to Game Pass PC, and not just what it means as far as for future, PC endeavors for PlayStation, but just in general. One, the reaction of the PlayStation fan base, and two, the reaction of those that are subscribed to either Game Pass Ultimate or Game Pass or PC Game Pass, and the expectations of what could either be future or potential, drops from, said PlayStation Studio developed games, or at least some IPs beyond like your MLB, the show type of deal. So I'll start this off with the one question I have. The starting question I have, I'll go to Pong first. As someone that I know you have a PC, but it may not be what you want as far as from a gaming standpoint, but is there any interest or inkling of wanting to try this as far as the upcoming game of Death Stranding? Because I don't think you've tried this on your PlayStation 4 when you had that.
No.
Did you?
No, I did not.
Tell me if there's any, even if it's just the slightest of interest to at least dabble or try to see what it's like on PC, coming next week.
Yeah, if I had a PC that could do it, I certainly would. Absolutely. Right. I always try Kojima games. I just didn't do Death Stranding because I was actually back into Xbox again when Death Stranding came out. So I was catching up on Xbox games a lot because I had missed the first half of the generation. So for me, that's where I was at. But if I had a PC that could run it, for sure, I would be interested in trying this out because Kojima, again, I never have said, man, that game looks boring in any way, shape, or form. Because I know better. I know myself. I've thought to myself times before, I'm not going to like this game. And then I play it and I actually really enjoy it. And every time I've watched people play it, and I have watched people play it, I like what I'm seeing. And I love, again, it's one of the most beautiful games out there. Every time I see it, I'm shocked at how good it looks. So if I had the PC and I could max out those settings and I could go ahead and download it, no risk, from my Game Pass Ultimate, heck yeah, I'd be all on board. And I think that's what a lot of people are going to do here, Fuzzy. That's why I think this is an incredibly smart move, not just from Xbox's standpoint, but also from Kojima's standpoint, because he is now in a partnership with Xbox and has a future game. We've had Kojima games on Xbox. People, always forget that, because again, nobody ever thinks of Xbox and Kojima, but we've had it. We've had Phantom Pain, right? We had Zone of Enders back in the day on 360. So we've had Kojima games, just not the catalog that Sony per se has. And obviously we missed out on Death Stranding. So I think it's very smart from Kojima's standpoint to get this done. And now again, reminder to everybody out there, we're not getting the director's cut in Game Pass, okay? Right. This is going to be the regular version. So we're not getting the director's cut. But I think a lot of people that held off, that maybe listened to the UPS simulator, the walking simulator, the pizza delivery guy simulator, all that nonsense that was going on out there. Again, you don't have to like the game by any stretch of imagination. You don't have to like Kojima. You have to. But again, all that stuff does not take away from the fact that there's more to this game than just that. And it still did quite well, despite the fact being locked to one console. I still think that there's going to be a lot of people who are like me, that for whatever reason, whether they listen to people or whether they just never tried it out on their PlayStation 4, will dive into this, and it will be under the Xbox service. So therefore, that association starts to happen again. They start to click. So when the Kojima and Xbox do announce his new project, that is a little bit easier to digest. There's going to be people like, oh yeah, I played Death Stranding under Game Pass, right? I played it on my PC under Game Pass. When they announce it, that's going to be the association, because it's going to be the last game that they tried from Kojima. So I think it's a very, very, very smart play on everybody's part here. Speculation Town, real quick, Fuzzy, before you go to PTK on your question. Next question. Speculation Town, though, as I put in our DMs, the checkmate move by Phil, and I don't know when this is going to happen, but we've talked about it here. But now that Death Stranding's there, it's even got me more interested than I was before. How long, as we hear about keyboard and mouse support coming to cloud, how long before we can go ahead and start streaming PC Game Pass to our consoles? How long before that happens? That's the way you do it. I know they're looking for loopholes. They found a loophole here with 505 Games Publishing and Kojima probably being in charge. Yeah, Sony probably knew about it, but they might not have had any say in this whatsoever. How long before that happens? Because that's going to be the day where I go, oh, this is amazing. Let's go. I'll get my keyboard and mouse for my console. I will play that way. Go ahead. Let's do this. But no, great move. Great, fantastic. And yes, if I had a PC, I would definitely be installing it and trying out for sure, Fuzzy.
Nice. What about you, PTK? I don't know if you have like a PC for gaming or not, but any interest or any chance that you'll be giving this a try next week?
Well, I don't have a gaming PC currently, so I don't have anything that'll be able to run that. But my interest is kind of going back. I've kind of gone back and forth. Now I have watched a ton of people play. Right, I've gone on YouTube. I watch people stream it. I watch walkthroughs just to try and get a gist of the game. Like, and that's me being 100% honest. But I don't know. I mean, maybe I would. Why not? Right? Like, if it's on Game Pass PC, honestly, why not try it? There have been some, pretty cool things that I've seen, some pretty interesting ideas come out of the game. I've watched, like I said, a few different walkthroughs, and I've seen some people do some pretty cool things. Now, once again, I have a loose idea of, what the game is and what's going on. But if I had a PC that would run it, why not? I don't see any reason why I wouldn't at least attempt to play it. At least just to get an idea of, what it was and why people actually enjoy it. Because there are some people that actually are really into Death Stranding. They're actually there's actually a decent community around the game. Believe it or not, if you could probably put it in on type it in on Twitter, and you'll find a whole community that loves the game. So I think I would at least attempt to play it. I don't see why I wouldn't.
Nice. Well, for me, it's been like kind of a weird situation for me with this game because I was all excited for it when they announced it back when it was for PS4, and there was like when they started showing, I guess, the clips of the BDs, which are like the oil people that float kind of thing, or the smoke that floats type of deal. When you'd have to hold your breath around them and they wouldn't, attack you or see you or something like that. And if you were breathing, they would suck you into that, like they would pull you into the ground of oil or whatever. But there was a part where it attacked like a dead body that he was, I guess, transporting, and it kind of broke the immersion level for me because I'm like, well, if you're not breathing, so you hide from it as like a stealth mechanic, then what is the dead body doing differently that it winds up attacking it? But that plot hole, I think I can find a way around it to at least give the game a try. So next week I will be giving it a try. But man, oh man, I think if anything, when it comes to PlayStation moving to this, PC space where, they just put Spider-Man on PC, they've already had God of War on PC. I'm kind of surprised they didn't unlock the Uncharted legacy that they were remastering for Steam just yet. Like it's still like saying coming soon or something, but trying to get that on PC a little bit sooner, considering that they were like when Jim Ryan was saying, oh, when we sell 10 million or even 20 million units of these games, it's just not enough anymore. Just paraphrasing, obviously, but with them moving into the PC space, it definitely seems like a good idea, although be it that this situation is strictly, was it 505 Games is kind of the ones that are putting it on PC, and I guess Xbox approached them or whatever the case may be to get it on PC Game Pass. But any thoughts as far as in general, like we'll move beyond just the PC Game Pass, but any thoughts in general as far as PlayStation with now going to PC more often? We hear rumblings that they're going to wind up having like a PC launcher here soon. Any thoughts on how soon that turnaround between launch on PS5 to launch on PC winds up being? Like if it winds up being the traditional year or so, or 6 months, or maybe even faster? What are your thoughts, Pong?
Faster. Again, that's why they got Nixus on board. See, they want to control their own destiny. And once Nixus catches up here and gets on a roll, I'm sure they're even building out Nixus right now to handle more ports at one time. I think this becomes shorter and shorter. That's why they're moving forward with the launcher. Once they get the launcher up and running is when I think we have the greatest chance of seeing day and date, or within a few months max. I think that's the cadence they're going to want to have with these PC launchers, with the PC launches. It doesn't make any sense to wait, especially if you got your own store. Now, they're still going to put it everywhere. Don't get me wrong. They're not going to make this exclusive. They're not going to survive. Their launcher will die before it even gets started if they try that nonsense. They know that the PC market, the PC players, that's a whole different beast than console. You can't mess with PC MRs, okay? You're not going to get away with it. We just saw the backlash from Modern Warfare coming back to Steam and Activision trying to charge $70. That uproar has already started. So you can't do that to that community. Otherwise, they're going to play your game. It's just not going to, you're not going to get paid for it, okay? That's what's going to happen if you mess with the PC people. Exactly. Not that I condone it, but let's be real. That's a real threat. Okay. Yeah. So it happens anyways, but more so if you try to mess with them. So what they're going to do is they're going to continue to put it on Epic, Steam. They're still going to do that, but they're going to entice people with the PC launcher by integrating the PlayStation Network. You're going to get trophies. You're going to log in through your PlayStation ID. They're going to introduce cross-buy. That's a must nowadays, especially Xbox has set that standard. They know that. I know that their site still says it's unavailable. It's not. They're going to change all that. They have to in order to survive. So I think that once they get all that stuff straight, then that's when we start seeing the launches happen sooner. Now, could it launch first in theirs and then later on Steam and Epic? Yeah, they could try that because it's Sony. I don't think they'll get away with it. I think they'll find out their results aren't the great. But at the end of the day, Jim's a numbers guy, and we've talked about this many times. The point being is you can sit and wait around for 5 years to get 20 million sold, right? That's still a great number. But if it takes 5 years, that's not money in the hand up front. If you could turn around and throw it on PC, have your PC launcher, throw it on Steam, throw it on Epic, day and date, or let's say within the first 90 days, and you wind up with 10 million sold in the first, let's say 5-6 months, that's much greater than sitting around waiting 5 years for 20 million sold. So I think Jim knows that. That's why they went out and got Nixus. They don't want issues like we see with Death Stranding, obviously. They didn't control their own destiny when they let 505 publish this game. We see what happens. They know Microsoft is looking for these loopholes. So I think that's where they're, closing all those gates, and they're going to do it their way. But yes, I definitely think we're going to see shorter and shorter time frame as we go forward here.
Nice. PTK, what do you think the timeline is with their PC launcher? Is it going to be one of those where it's 6 months to a year, or a lot sooner type of thing? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm right in line with Pong on this one. I think quite a bit sooner actually, right? So we gotta understand where Sony's at currently, right? So they're doing a lot of different things. They have a Game Pass like service that they're launching, right? No day and date anything as of yet. They know people want it. Right, they know it's something that they have to do at some point to compete with Xbox. So I obviously think that that's coming down the line, or sooner than later, actually. Just depending on what they're doing. Like you said, they went out and got Nixus specifically for PC ports. So we know that they're doing that. We know that they're building that out. Now, how big they're building it out, that remains to be seen. But we know that's going to play an integral part. They put God of War on PC, huge success. Duh. We've been saying that was a no-brainer, right? Like nobody knew that was gonna happen. Put God of War on PC. Nobody knew that was gonna happen. Nobody. We were all
Spider-Man's blowing up now too.
My goodness, that's crazy, isn't it? Oh man, that's crazy. That's crazy. So no, it's so. At some point, and we talk about this many different times. We've said it. At some point, the rules change, and you have to get where things are going. They don't necessarily have the infrastructure that Xbox have, so they got to get creative. Yeah. And if they can do that, they can still keep up, because obviously there are things Sony has that Xbox doesn't quite have. The brand recognition, they still, are known as the lead platform in a lot of instances, right? So they still have a lot of those things, and it takes a lot more than just great games to turn that around. That's just part of the equation. So they can use that, get real creative with a lot of different services that they have, and this is one way to do it. This is an obvious way to do it. You know what I mean? So I do think it's going to come sooner than later. Are we once again? I don't know how much we're going to hear from Sony the rest of 2022. I mean, I don't think we're. I think we're all past the point of we're getting some type of Sony show at some point. I don't know where you guys are at on that. I don't know if anybody's like cold take. Is that like cold now? Are we done with? Are they doing anything later?
Well,
this year?
they had 2 leaks recently, although I would say they're on the smaller side of things. It's like 2 games that are in development. I'm not sure if one is like part VR and going to have like a standard console release. Like I think it's Helldivers 2, which the original one was an RTS, but this new one I think is supposed to be third person. So the third person over the shoulder. They're traditional platform or cutout type of deal. And then there's I forget what the other studio name is.
Helldivers was not an RTS, just by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. No, I just wanted to. It was a twin stick shooter action.
Oh, okay. Twin stick. Okay.
Freaking awesome game. I played a lot of it on PlayStation 4. Amazing game. So yeah.
No, but their new one is supposed to be like a third person setup, and then I think it's like a Bullet Point or some sort of studio. I think that's the name. I can't remember now, but there is a game in development by this new studio that's pretty much going to be like a Sony exclusive. So they at least have 2 games in the works. Now they're not going to be released here in 2022, or at least that's the word on the street. Although Helldivers 2 might, but it's doubtful at that point. But that's what they would probably announce or save for the end for like a state of play. But no, there's no such thing as a Sony insider out there. So we'll see if they even have something the end of this year, just short of having it announced at like the Game Awards, which I kind of expect more so something at the Game Awards, unless we get like an in-depth state of play for God of War, like was it usually a month before? So it would be sometime in like or in October or so. But other than that, I don't think we hear any more from them really.
Okay. All right. Well, let me go ahead and get to this quick super chat, man. Shout out to Dark CMF showing love with a $10 super chat. He says as follows: if Sony had the forward vision of MS, they wouldn't be on Azure servers. They were the market leaders, and with the shift in the last 2 years, they're playing catch up. Hit that like button, chat. You're right. Hit the like button. Shout out to you, Dark CMF. We talked about this. I think Pong specifically last week went over the fact that, this is something that, Xbox took advantage of. Sony can't really compete in this particular area, and Xbox was forward thinking enough, and they do this every generation, multiple different times throughout the generation. They do these types of things where, they essentially stick their foot out there. They create, a brand new narrative. They create a completely different system, whether it be a perpetual attachment, whatever it may be. And then obviously it becomes a standard later on. So this is something that we've seen them do many different times. So shout out to you, Dark CMF. Thanks for the $10 super chat. Appreciate you. I don't know what happened to Pong. Looks like Pong fell out. So I'm sure he'll pop back in here, man. But we're gonna keep this thing moving. I'm sure Pong will pop back in here shortly. Shout out to Mav. Appreciate you, Mav. What's up, Zinc? We need those hot takes. So
no, but in wrapping up the whole PlayStation move to PC, I think it's something that they definitely need to get on their horses here sooner rather than later. Like, to be perfectly honest, I would have loved to have had GT 7 on PC, day and date or otherwise. Just put it on PC at this point. And yes, I know they're probably afraid of the fact of modders, having access to the cars without, them doing like some surprise like download or having it where you have to grind 20 million credits in the game, or just do the microtransactions to be able to afford the cars. But having that game on PC, I think, would be a huge step forward. That way they could actually finally, I guess, put ray tracing in game as opposed to just in replay and stuff like that. But yeah, I can't wait for them to get their PC launcher going. Hopefully the dual entitlement stuff where it's like you bought it on console, you have it on PC, or if you buy it on PC, you have it on console. Because that I just love that on Xbox right now. That's the main reason my Xbox is my preferred platform. It's just so much of an easier ecosystem in general all around.
Yeah. No, once again, shout out to chat, everybody. Hopefully we get Pong here back soon. I'm not entirely sure what happened. Hopefully he jumps back in here shortly, but we'll keep this thing rocking. Once again, go ahead and drop your questions in the chat. Appreciate you guys watching for live. So we're going to actually go ahead and grab some questions right now, Fuzz. If you're ready, I'm going to go ahead and just grab anything out of the chat. So I'll go ahead and start with Mr. Fun Speculation himself. Shout out to Mav. Shout out to Caitlin. I saw you in here earlier as well. Shout out to everybody. FSP. I saw Jasper in here as well. All you guys always in here showing love at the Shop Podcast. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Looks like there's Pong right there. There we go. All right. Looks like we're back, people.
Sorry, brothers. My internet crashed out. So
it's all good, brother. No worries. No worries, man. So we got a question from Mr. FSP himself, Mr. Mad Fun Speculation. So he said, question, what's your favorite Kojima game? Now, this is specifically for you, Other Zinc. I'd like for you to go ahead and answer this question.
Before I got crashed out, I was going to say Other Zinc came with a hot take. He saved my Saturday night. So he said somebody needed to be fired for the Kojima partnership at Xbox. So shout out to Other Zinc for coming with the hot take. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
So I don't know who wants to answer that question. I'm going to go mine pretty easy. I'm going to say Zone of Enders. I'm a big Zone of Enders fan. It's funny because I played the game on accident. I was bored, and my cousin had it. I was bored. I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what the game was. I'm like, this looks interesting, right? Like, I didn't know what it was. Popped it in. Before you knew it, like 5 hours went by, and I'm like, oh, this game was fucking amazing. The mechs, everything going on with the game, it was amazing. I just lost time in it. So I would say that I was never a huge Metal Gear fan. I'm sorry, chat. You can burn me at the stake. Do whatever you want to do. I was never a big Metal Gear fan. I had some friends that were big Metal Gear fans. I was not one of them. So I'm going to go Zone of Enders.
Okay. Go ahead, Fuzzy.
Mine is kind of an oddball one just for the fact that it was a demo. PT. Awesome. Outside of that, like, I never really played any of his games. Like, Metal Gear was not my thing at the time. Like, what was it? Metal Gear 5 was probably
you were on
the
PlayStation.
Closest.
You were heavy on
I was on
PlayStation
at the time. But I was all about Gran Turismo, MotorStorm, Resistance. What was it? Infamous, things like that. But I wasn't. I think what was something Fear that I had? I think Fear was the only like horror game that I really played on there. But PT. It was like a weird demo, and it's like when you figured out that the thing was following you, it's like, that was about probably the only game I really played of his. So I'll just say PT.
Okay.
Cool.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'll say Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of Patriots.
Okay.
I think that on the PS3 was absolutely an incredible game. I know there's obviously I could go on with Metal Gear 2 or Solid 2 or whatever the case may be, which is a classic but I really liked Metal Gear 4. That for me was really peak Kojima. And so really just loved everything about that game. So that's the one I'll go with on this question.
Okay. All right. Shout out to you. Shout out to Matt for proposing the question. Thank you, brother, man. We moving right along. We got Mr. Ray. Shout out to Ray for hanging out with us.
Did you get Toolman's earlier question, by the way?
No, I think I missed it. I think
did you miss it? He was like one of the first ones in there, and I was just going to answer it real quick.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Jump in because he asked if he's heard a lot about Singularity being a great game from the 360 era, and whether or not it was worth it. Toolman, play Singularity. Okay, play Singularity. It is a fantastic, underrated gem of that era. It is absolutely something you should play. It's by Raven before they turned into a Call of Duty support studio. Raven Software is absolutely amazing, and Singularity was their best game, one of their best games. They've had a lot, but Singularity was one of my favorite games from the 360 era as far as the underrated ones that not everybody played.
There are so many of them.
There's
so many of them. You won't even understand. Go ahead.
But a first-person shooter, fantastic. mechanic involved in the game. So yes, absolutely go play it. Just go play it. Hands down, great game.
Shout out to you. Shout out to you as well, man. Once again, go play that game, man. It's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
No, Silent Singularity is not backwards compatible. You will have to actually play that on the 360.
All right.
Unfortunately.
All right. So let's go ahead and grab Ray's question. Shout out to chat. Once again, drop your questions in chat. Anything you guys want us to go over that we might not have covered already, let us know. Drop it in chat. We'll do our best to get to it. And let me get to this quick super chat. Hold on real quick. Let me get to the quick super chat. I'm sorry. Go ahead and get down here. Shout out to everybody watching us live. A $20 super chat from Mr. Silent Cypher. Shout out to you, bro. Appreciate you for supporting us. He said, you guys rock. That is all. No, you rock. Silent, appreciate you, man, for hanging out with us. Always joining, always hanging out with us. Just always having fun, man. So let's get to this other question from Ray. He said, do you think we'll have shadow drop games on Game Pass during Gamescom? This is perfect because there was something that we did want to talk about. It's a great segue, right? Wasn't there a little game that might have been causing waves this week that might be dropping in Game Pass? I don't know. It's a little something, maybe.
Yeah, there might be a little something there. I think the one that has the greatest chance, however, is the GoldenEye remake. GoldenEye remake with the anniversary. That smoke started again. That Gamescom is actually where it's going to happen. I think that's the one for sure that's going to be there. As far as a shadow drop, going live like instantaneously, like right away, right? That's what I consider a shadow drop. So for me, I think it's gonna be GoldenEye for sure.
Okay, all right, nothing wrong with that. I did consider GoldenEye as well. Either or, I'd be fine with either or ultimately. But where you at on this, Fuzz?
I was thinking GoldenEye as well, but what the more recent one is that Lies P that is coming up.
Lies of P,
yeah. Lies of P, yeah.
I just don't think that's ready yet. That's the only reason why I didn't bring it up. So, yeah, I don't think it's ready to actually come out yet. Let's put it that way. I think we'll see it next year. But yeah, for anybody who didn't catch what PTK was hinting at, we could talk about it a little bit there.
Yeah,
PTK
let's get into that. Let's get into it.
Is Lies of P again? Brought up this last week, I think. I brought it up on all the shows when Xbox Wire dropped the news about Gamescom and Xbox having like, I think it's 3 to 5 hour block of time where they're going to have dev interviews. They're going to have all sorts of stuff going and they're going to be live streaming it from Gamescom. And they gave us a list of some of the games and some of the devs that were going to be there. And the Lies of P, for anybody who doesn't remember, I'll refresh you again. This is a dark fantasy Pinocchio story, which is going to be Souls-like, very, very influenced by Bloodborne, which we know is still a console exclusive for Sony, right? So it was very interesting to me that was showing up on the Microsoft stage. And I mentioned that because that means chances are Microsoft at least has the marketing rights. Now, we had a little drop from the snitch.
Welcome to Speculation Town, by the way, if you're new here.
Relatively new, but has been very accurate, not 100%, but very accurate with his leaks across the industry. The guy seems to be one of the few people who actually has contacts with Nintendo, with Sony, with Xbox, with everybody. A lot of people are guessing that he actually works for YouTube and gets to see some stuff early through that, but we don't know who the snitch is. But he dropped a Morse code today that actually, when you translated the Morse code, was one of the main taglines from Lies of P. And so obviously people are thinking that this is a Game Pass day and date game. Now we don't have a launch date. I don't think it's ready to launch. I think we'll probably see this in 2023. But very interesting that maybe Microsoft did a little bit more here to get their own Bloodborne-esque type game on their ecosystem. Again, whether or not it's exclusive doesn't matter to me. If it's dropping to Game Pass, it'll be a game I try. I don't care if it's exclusive, but maybe Microsoft does, because, you know, Bloodborne is by many people's standards considered the best Souls game. So it'd be interesting if they took a chance on this developer and liked what they saw at Eliza P and said, you know what, this could be our Bloodborne, and maybe they funded it. Maybe they did a little bit more with it. We'll find out. Obviously, we're going to hear more at Gamescom coming up here. So very interesting little tidbit this week, though, PTK, for sure.
Oh, very interesting. I'm super excited for this game. Once again, go do your research. I know that a lot of people forgot about the game and kind of came and went, but keep your eyes on this game. I follow them on Twitter and I keep an eye on the game. Everything that they tweet out about it, I try and take a look at it. Beautiful game. Once again, heavy Pinocchio, Souls S Bloodborne style game. There's so much. I didn't realize how much like weapon customization is going to be. I heard something like 100 different combinations, 50 different weapons type shit. I'm like, hold the hell on here. This may be something that I might, and I don't even play. I'm not into the Bloodborne. I don't play games that are hard just for the sake of being hard. That's not my thing, Chad. I don't do that. So, I might get into this. You know what I mean? It's something I might just try, especially if it's on Game Pass. I'm sorry, it is what it is. I know you want to feel about it, but if it's on Game Pass, especially, I'm gonna at least definitely download it, give it a try. But yeah, if you guys forgot about this game, please keep your eyes open. This game, and we're gonna get footage right at Gamescom is confirmed. I believe Keeley tweeted out we're gonna get footage, brand new exclusive footage on this game, which means we're probably gonna get new information, right? So I'm super excited to see what we're gonna get on this game. So great question. I guess I'll get into another question here. I do want to talk about something else here. Dang it, I just had a fleeting thought. I guess I'll go ahead and grab this question in while I try and remember specifically what it was. So shout out to Silent Cypher. Another question. He said, what percentage possibility is there of a God of War actually releasing this year? And anybody want to tackle that?
I'm more of a 75% plus range. There is still a possibility it gets delayed. I think they've been so quiet over there that that's all the focus right now. And if they have to pull some, more people from other studios, kind of like what they did, for The Last of Us and stuff like that for the remake to kind of get this thing over the, finish line, that's what they're going to do. So I think this still comes out this year. We'll see if they make an announcement for Gold by, what is that? I guess by the end of September, early October range, because it's usually like, was it 30 days out or is it 60 days out or something? So if we don't see anything by next month that they've gone Gold, then it might be an issue. But I'm about 75% sure it makes it across the finish line this year.
Yeah, okay. And I'm in the 90%. So Corey came out again because Corey's had some very interesting tweets the past couple of weeks. There's something going on over there. And his comments this week didn't really ease the tension, but a lot of people were in there underneath his tweets asking, is this a God of War delay or whatever else? And he said, nope, it's not. So I still give this a 90% because, like Fuzzy said, I think they pulled all hands on deck from about the beginning of the year to make sure this happens. I think from spring on, it's been nonstop. I think they pulled a lot of people from a lot of studios to get this thing over the line, and they're not going to miss this window. This is too important for them this year, unless, again, something massive came up, a game-breaking bug they weren't ready for or something like that. I think this game gets done. In fact, the leaks have now happened as well for anybody who's interested. You can get, again, take it with a grain of salt with any leak, but what I will say is there is a highly detailed story/plot synopsis with very specific details in there that I don't think the normal fake troll leaker would absolutely come up with from a creative standpoint, and a lot of it makes sense. I've read through it because I don't care. So if you want to go find it, it's out there, but that leaks usually start happening when things are getting wrapped up and whatever the case may be. So I think definitely I'm in the 90 percentile that it's coming out this year for sure.
I'd say I'm high 80s. I'm definitely high 80s. I think, like you said, I think there were all hands on deck for sure. All indication that the game's coming out this year. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. Like you said, the window is crazy because that's the key component, right? As soon as Starfield wasn't going to be at the end of this year, that was a golden opportunity to drop a game right in that window. And you can't move. I mean, 2023 is already stacked. Moving into 2023 would mean, potentially putting it next to something that might get just as much attention.
PTK, but we've been hearing all these other games are moving out of the way of God of War because it's so scary that exclusivity from Sony is going to somehow damage third-party time. All these games moved out of the way. Can you imagine what these devs would be thinking if they delayed God of War until 2023 when everybody else moved out of the way like that. Oh my God, that'd be hilarious.
So once again, shout out to chat. You guys are crazy, man. But I don't know. Once again, it's just I think it's coming this year. I don't really see any indication that it wouldn't be. You cannot miss this golden opportunity to have kind of that last big game in 2022. Shout out to all the other games that are coming. There's some big games coming out, but God of War is going to be one of the biggest games if it is able to make 2022, especially in that window where that's kind of like prime positioning. So hopefully they can make it.
I got to answer a couple of other things. No, God of War will not have a jump button this time. They will continue on with the style that they have. So you're not going to get a jump button. I know you're excited for God of War and you're going to go play it day one. It's not going to have a jump button, sorry. Will God of War Ragnarok be overshadowed by Skull and Bones that releases November 8th? No, sir. No, sir. Skull and Bones is not going to overshadow itself, okay? We are going to see that thing be half priced by Black Friday, okay? So that's how Skull and Bones... I'm still looking forward to it because I'm going to play it once it drops low enough. But no, it's not going to be overshadowed at $70 price point. So that's not going to happen.
Yeah, Ubisoft shot themselves in the foot on that one.
Man, look. Yeah, Ubisoft better be hoping that thing get delayed because that Skull and Bones, I'm telling you right now, it's not going. You're gonna get about 3 days of coverage, and then it's a wrap. That's about it. That's no more coverage until that thing go on sale. Once a year, around Black Friday, Christmas, it'll be about $35. And I think a lot of people will maybe dive in. It may mess around and end up on Game Pass at some point. You never know down the line. So let's go ahead and grab a couple more questions if we have any other ones. Oh, actually, you know what? I wanted to get into something else too. There was another. Oh, I wanted to talk about a little bit about that Black Myth Wukong gameplay. The 6-minute gameplay we got. I wanted to get
it was 6 minutes of a cutscene introducing the characters, and then we got like 48 seconds of brand new gameplay. Which doesn't seem like a lot, but they did a bunch of really quick slices. And if you actually watch it and watch it back in 4K, absolutely great stuff. So yeah, that's how that went.
So I want to get into that a little bit, just everybody's general opinions. Once again, we don't have a platform, announced essentially. This is showed off by NVIDIA. So we don't have like a platform announced or anything like that. So I'm super interested as to and I know there's a bidding war going on for this game. It has to be at this point. Has to be. Watch Nintendo mess around. Get out of playing. Let me not say that. But there has to be a bidding war for this game at this point. And once again, we haven't got like an official on stage. This is what we're gonna see. This is the game. What the game is. But I just want you guys' general opinion, and either one of you guys can jump in on this. Would you guys see? I mean, I already know, Pong, you were hyped for it. Same thing, as well as you, Fuzz.
Yeah, I think overall, like just seeing the extra 6 minutes of like that cutscene and everything, it shows, the level of detail that they're going. But it being an NVIDIA thing for PC. Any way you look at it, I'm definitely picking this thing up. I'm hoping Xbox can, pull the strings and, drop the bag and come into Game Pass day and date, although I doubt they're going to be able to swing that one. But I think they could possibly swing the marketing rights aspect of it, and we'll see what happens. But I can't wait for this thing. I know it's going to probably be a harder game than what I'm looking forward to playing. I'm not really the biggest fan of Elden Ring, but that's just I don't feel like dying and then having to go pick stuff up. Although, once again, I know open world, you can kind of choose your own path and grind out stuff and level yourself up. But I definitely want to give this game a try. Like there's something about the overall aesthetic of it and some of the mythology behind it, as far as I guess you could say Chinese mythology behind it, that I just has a certain appeal to me, and I can't wait for this thing to come out. And if it means getting it on Xbox or PlayStation or PC, one way or another, I'm picking it up.
So quick question as well to kind of expand on that, right? Elden Ring Elden Ring was something that came. We kind of saw Elden Ring coming, right? Like we kind of knew Elden Ring was going to be huge. Obviously, the build up for Elden Ring was gigantic. Then once they actually showed Elden Ring, we got a little taste of it from a trailer. The build up got that much bigger. And obviously when it came out, boom, game of the year. One of the craziest games in a generation as far as what it was able to do, how it was able kind of to push it kind of carried the entire year, if we're being honest. You know, and there's very few games that were able to, you know, get to that level. So do you guys think Black Myth Wukong could possibly, I'm not going to say it's going to have that, because I can't expect any other game to ever, for that to ever happen again. I mean, that's so rare. What happened to Elden Ring, it doesn't happen very often. So I can't expect that. But do you think it could have that kind of an appeal? The two games aren't, I'm not going to say they're 100% similar, but do you guys think it can have that kind of appeal overall, even if it's multi-plat or not?
Yeah, I think it can have that type of appeal. Maybe not the same scale, because I think, what are they at, like 16 million copies now so far of Elden Ring. I don't know if this necessarily gets that record that fast, but I think this will be, in any case, unless there's some game breaking bug type of thing to it. I think this reaches 10 million fairly quick, and it'll be a big surprise for the dev team that's working on it, with this being a fairly new studio of, you know, comprised of veterans from other studios over in China and stuff. But I think overall, this game is definitely going to hit the ground running. I think it won't. I don't think it will be quite the darling that Elden Ring was, but it'll be pretty close. Like it'll have an Elden Ring like presence for 2023 until some other AAAs that people have been waiting for kind of drop, type of thing. I think this will have a nice little space of its own for when it comes out.
2023 is so stacked. But go ahead, Pong.
Yeah, I think overall, just because of the hype behind Black Myth Wukong, and just how it kind of started out, coming out of nowhere from an unknown Chinese developer, which we have found out is made up of a lot of veterans from Chinese development houses, and kind of hearing from the producer or the lead designer back in the day, when we first found out about this game, and him talking about kind of his perfectionist attitude when it came to the game, and how he was, even though we were all blown away by the first time we saw it, that he was disappointed. And then they moved to Unreal Engine 5, which even gave them even more control and even greater detail, which we're seeing in this new gameplay and in that character trailer. I think that if the gameplay matches what we've seen, even if it is a Souls-like game, all right, that will, even that Elden Ring, excuse me, sorry, I had to cough. Even though Elden Ring opened up that genre even more, and it was such a phenomenon that now more people than ever are excited for Souls-like games, it still isn't like, the masses yet, as of yet. Yeah. But I think that if that gameplay does match it, I think that you could see another Elden Ring situation with Black Myth Wukong. It would take something special, but I think Black Myth Wukong is already ahead of Elden Ring, obviously, in the graphics department. In the graphics department, in the look.
Okay. I agree.
It's, I mean, From Software has their art direction, their aesthetic is beautiful and it's gorgeous. Some people don't like it, but I think from a more mass appeal standpoint, with Unreal Engine 5 and the way this look and the way that the enemies look and all that kind of stuff,
dude,
I think
the
actually
enemies are insane.
So I think that Black Myth, from that standpoint, is already ahead of Elden Ring in that curve. So if the gameplay matches it, I think we could see another Elden Ring pop out of nowhere from a little known Chinese developer, and become the next big kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's got the potential. There's a lot of hype around it. People have had this on their radar for a long time. The fact that they are now releasing this type of footage, not just to their own YouTube channel, but giving IGN 6 minutes of a cutscene introducing characters, we're getting close. This could be another 2023 coming up here, to add to the list. And depending on who has marketing rights, I don't want to see this go exclusive. Obviously, I don't want to see this game locked down. I don't want, this feels like one of those Sony, we're going to grab it, we're going to make it timed exclusive for 2 years at this point. Mm-hmm. This feels like one of those. I hope that's not the case here, and I hope the developer wants to get into as many hands as possible, because I think this is going to be a current gen only type game. I don't think we're going to see this on last gen. I'd be shocked if we did. I think this is going to be current gen only and PC, because they're really pushing the NVIDIA stuff, and talking about DLSS and all that kind of stuff and ray tracing. So I want to see it come to everywhere. Great. It would be fantastic if we get a Game Pass deal out of it. Obviously, no risk. It'd be awesome to see it show up in there. But at the end of the day, I do think this has the potential to be the next Elden Ring, just with the early hype that it got, and if it keeps getting better the more we see it. So again, if gameplay matches, and that's always the question, gameplay is going to be the key, then yes, I think we do have that. We do have that phenomenon coming again.
I agree. And it's funny because I was a little hesitant, but I absolutely agree after sitting there thinking about it, man. Like the game looks phenomenal, and I do agree with you as far as a graphical edge. Now maybe it's not a 1-to-1, right? We don't know exactly if they're the same. They're clearly not the same.
I don't think it's going to be quite as open world as Elden Ring
as
is
open
either.
worldy as Elden Ring. I don't believe that as well too. I do believe it'll be more of along the lines of semi-open world, kind of take your own path, but still you have a designated path that you need to go, enemies you need to defeat to kind of complete the game. But super, super dope. Like you said, the aesthetics are crazy. The creatures, the weapons, how the actual protagonist looks, the scenery, the different places that you're actually fighting. They range from like frozen over lakes to volcanic looking areas, deserts, jungly kind of areas where temples and things are at, and then all types of different things. Like the game looks amazing. So once again, chat, let us know how you guys feel about Black Myth Wukong, man. Drop some more questions down in the chat. Shout out to Mad, man. I appreciate you, man. He said he loves the new format. Thank you for that, brother. We love it too. We're kind of warming up to this new format. Chat, let us know how you guys feel about the new format as well. We'd love to hear about it. This is why we make changes and try and do different things to keep things fresh around here. So let us know how you guys feel about it. We'll go ahead and drop your questions in there as well, fellas. I know we got some other things we can kind of whip up and talk about here. I'm sure I hadn't gone all the way back, but did you guys see anything, Pong, that we might have missed?
I know there was the game that Pong brought back to everyone's attention on what was it yesterday?
Oh yeah, Gungrave.
Yeah.
Gungrave
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Xbox Wire dropped that too, which was a little interesting. Again, Xbox is picking up some marketing lately, like trying to push some things. Everybody kind of forgot about Gungrave. Gungrave is a fantastic character from manga, and people don't know Gungrave because it's older, but I still remember Gungrave anime. And he is a fantastic kick butt character, taking names. And this game, when they first showed it, stood out. Me and Steele's mouths were dropping open. We were watching the gameplay. It looks so good. It's got a lot of Devil May Cry to it, a lot, but with the unique style from Gungrave's, weapon set, his skill set. Lots of flash, lots of gore, lots of body pieces flying everywhere. And Xbox Wire talked to the creative, the dev team behind Gungrave Gore, which is supposed to be out this year. So just wanted to put this back on everybody's radar again. Go watch the trailer. I did post a tweet about it, so you can search my feed, find the tweet, and then Fuzzy posted the YouTube video underneath it of the original trailer that was CGI plus gameplay. Go check it out. Gungrave is freaking cool, and I can't wait for this game to come out later this year. If it still hits.
Definitely. Once again, another gem. Gem, like I said, hopefully coming out this year. If it still makes it, we don't know officially yet, but hopefully it still makes it. So Dark CMF, shout out to CMF, has another question. We actually got a couple questions. Shout out to Chris Jones as well. We'll try and get to both here. We're going to get Dark's first. He said, what game is expected promise for 2023 but vanishes? Damn you, CMF. We do not want to have these conversations. This is not a question. Lord have mercy. I don't even want to consider that, but I guess we got to answer the question. So we got to answer the question.
One that, see, I don't even want to jinx anything because I there's one that's for 2023, but if it vanishes, I'm gonna be crying in the corner. And that's Motorsport, but I don't think that's the one that vanishes. Like I'll go with the obvious choice. Well, I won't say obvious choice, but the one that like no one's talking about anymore, and that's the one from Blue Box, Abandoned.
Oh my God! Come on!
Oh my goodness!
It's not even a real game. That's vaporware. That doesn't count.
You tried to take the easy way. Come on.
The game is the guy played PlayStation. No, I'm just kidding.
All right,
but that's the only one that I want to jinx out there as far as vanishing, because everything else that's promised for 2023, I'm not putting that bad mojo out there for it. Nope, not going to do it.
It's a tricky question because we don't know, like the second half of 2023, we don't know much about it. So
I'll go with this one, PTK. I'll go with this one. We don't have a lot of Nintendo fans in the chat. So, Breath of the Wild 2. Breath of the Wild 2. It's easy. It's thinking about what we've seen and how we know Nintendo rolls.
Mm-hmm.
And if Nintendo is planning on new hardware, they will hold Breath of the Wild 2 for that new hardware because they're smart and that's how they do things. And they don't need it because they will continue to sell everything else the way they always sell. So Breath of the Wild 2, I think for me, is the one that gets pushed.
And for all Nintendo fans listening, Pong Soul can be located. No, I'm just kidding.
They're going to find his ass anyway. You don't have to worry about that. Then Nintendo don't. They're going to find Pong. They're going to find him anyway. But let's go and grab a few other questions here out of the chat. Shout out to everybody watching live, man. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and get Chris Jones' question. He said, what Lord of the Rings game would you like to see since the Embracer acquisition? Great damn question. This is not... Yeah, we already know where you're going. Yeah, this is
This is easy. I put out a tweet right away when this deal went down. I tweeted at Lars and at Embracer Group, bring me back Battle, or it doesn't have to be Lord of the Rings, Battle for Middle Earth, because obviously EA owns that IP, but give me an RTS in that mold 100%. They have the studios that can do RTSs, make it happen, because Battlefield for Middle Earth, that's Mav's favorite RTS of that generation. I would say it's probably my top 5 RTSs of that generation. Lord of the Rings is perfect for that style of game. I even threw it out there on PM in the PM on Thursday. I said Total War expansion with Lord of the Rings now, if they licensed it out to Sega, would be amazing expansion. But just give me a regular standalone RTS for the consoles, for PC, for everything in that vein. I will be a happy camper.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So great question. I mean, I don't know. There's a ton of different types of games I'd love to see. Lord of the Rings is so versatile. That's why I said it's like Star Wars-esque. The universe is so large, the lore is so deep that you can do so many different things. I don't really know. Maybe some type of, I don't know, action adventure game of some sort. Maybe some third person, Lord of the Rings type game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't really know. I don't really know. I haven't thought about this much. Maybe Fuzz, you might have a better answer than me. I'll be honest with you. I haven't thought about this much.
I don't know. I'm thinking, yes, definitely go with like a third person RPG type of style. But I like Pong's idea as far as an RTS version. Bring back like the almost like the Middle Earth type style game. But man, what was it? Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor. I definitely go RPG third person. Just continue on that quest. Although I don't know, would that because I'm still counting on them picking up Monolith. That I think that's I don't know. Third person
a full blown RPG would be incredible.
Yeah, I was gonna say just
like
that
a
is
full blown one. Yeah, with like you meet break it off like from the main storyline, like Gandalf sends you on some kind of mission that's happening at the same time that the books are set in, but you're on a completely secret mission for Gandalf, and your character starts out as just as a lowly character, and you power up. I mean, a straight up RPG open world style. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool too.
Yeah, that's the obvious answer as well. To be honest with you, I mean, for that type of game, for that type of story, RPG is right up the alley. Like I said, like third person, first person, it really wouldn't matter, and we might get that anyway. Shout out to Avowed. we might get something close to that anyway. But great question. I got another awesome question from Toolman55. Shout out to you, brother, saying, I game on PlayStation and Xbox. Do you find it hard to not only find time to play on multiple ecosystems, but to have recurring game burnout? I have found this for myself the last 2+ years. We talk about this off and on this podcast. That's kind of a reoccurring theme as well. I mean, yeah, I go through spurts, right? I think we all do. I go through spurts where I don't really play video games at all. Sometimes it's my fault. Sometimes it's like life, right? Everybody's life's different. I know I work a lot. Pong works a lot. Sometimes he goes through stretches where he doesn't play games very often. So I kind of naturally get breaks anyway, right? So I don't really plan breaks because I feel like I get enough breaks like in my regular life. You know what I mean? Like I may go 3 or 4 days, normally a week, where I don't really play much. 2 or 3 days a week for me is pretty normal, not to even pick up the Xbox controller outside of like watching Netflix with my wife or something. So I feel like I normally get enough time to not play. So I don't really feel true burnout. Obviously, I have games that I go back to and I love to play. Game Pass is always nice to dip into and see what else is, in there every, couple weeks or so. I don't know. It just really depends. I feel like I get enough breaks, so that's not really an issue for me. But go ahead, fella. Anybody else want to take that?
Yeah, for me, as far as burnout, it's weird because like with me being retired and stuff, I'll get burned out on certain games, so I might not pick up that game for months on end. But I'll always find something gaming or in gaming related to kind of, even if it's just like an hour or so a day, to occupy my time. Like a perfect example would be, for a while I was burned out of Division. I was burned out of even racing games. Like I did like 3 back-to-back NASCAR seasons on, what was it, um, NASCAR Heat 4 or something like that a while back. And then I just picked up Sims. Now I don't normally play Sims, but I turned it into an architecture building game. Like, oh, future house floor plans. I built the floor plans in Sims 5 or in Sims 4 as far as what I want for the next house and stuff. And just did that, or I hopped on my PC and went with modded Grand Theft Auto and decided I was going to be a what do you call them, motorcycle sniper on the highway. Like if people cut me off in traffic, type of thing, and I'm going to snipe them later. It's just like random stuff that's not even really like, there's not really a goal. It's just like, screw around time in a game type of thing. I'll usually go through that as opposed to like working on building a character or completing a race or, trying to finish a level or things like that. There are times where I just do random stuff in a different game, or I'll do like house maintenance or cleaning on like my stash of gear from the Division, which I might not play Division for a month because I'm, in the stash clearing out all the duplicates of stuff that I don't need, or gear that I'm never going to do a build on, and get rid of that to make more space. And then I'll start playing and then collect more stuff and then have to do it all over again. So I don't really get burned out of gaming in general, but burned out of a particular game, yeah, it happens every so often. I'll just usually bounce between platforms. Heck, I sometimes bounce between platforms multiple times in a day. Start off on Xbox, do the updates, hop on a game, switch over to GT on my PlayStation, or might even try to move a little bit further on what is it, Horizon Forbidden West and stuff. And then I'll hop on my PC, and right now like my Steam Deck is like my go-to, so I'll go ahead and play Eyes in the Dark or Cult of Lamb or something like that. And yeah, just I always find something gaming related, even if it's on my phone, like the whole game where it's like you swallow stuff from like the ground or whatever and keep on becoming this bigger pit. And I think they had a similar game like in Game Pass as well. But yeah, just always bounce around and do something gaming related, or play games with the family, or do like not missions, but like play a few matches with the boys, an insurgency or something like that. So there's always something.
Pong, I don't know if you wanted to get into that.
Well, when right now I don't have that problem because I only have one console. But when I always wind up owning multiple consoles every generation. So I guess for me, no, because I'm such a grazer. I think the closest thing to burnout I get is like, even if there's a bunch of big games that I'm currently have on my playlist, like I'll look at those big games and I'll be like, I just don't feel like them right now. Like that's the closest part. But then I go through my list and I just find something random, like Sega Bass Fishing. Right? I'll just find something random that I haven't played in a long time, and I'll play it. And I'm never I never get to the point where I put down gaming or feel like I don't want to play. Like I said, the closest thing is those days where just the big stuff or the popular stuff or the stuff that I was really excited about, I just take a little bit of a break from. Or I'll have those days where I just scroll and scroll and scroll, and it takes me forever to decide what I want to play because there's so many things I want to touch. So I have those days as well. But having multiple systems now, as Game Pass has grown, like I can't imagine right now, and looking at 2023, having a PS5, having a Switch, having an Xbox, having a PC. I can't imagine what that's like as a grazer. Like I would have so much I want to touch. What usually wound up happening for me in the previous gens is there was always something on sale, me as a budget gamer, on one or the other consoles that I want to try out. So I always had that option. I always liked that option. Like if there was nothing on the Xbox sale that I was interested in, I could hop over to PS4 and find something on sale that I was interested in, and I'd pick it up cheap. So that was always the cool part for me, having both ecosystems there. But yeah, no, I've never really run into a time in my life where I just sat around for an extended period of time saying, I don't feel like playing video games. Like I have not had that happen. I really haven't. Nice. There's always something for me.
Yeah, and that's a great problem to have. So I think Gabe has a question. I guess we'll get to this here quickly. He said, shout out to Gabe for the question. Does MS release sales numbers of consoles, series consoles? Do you have a problem if they don't? I don't know. Anybody want to?
No. They don't do official numbers. Yeah. That's why it was a shock when they came out and admitted that Sony outsold them 2-1 last generation, right?
Yeah, recently.
Recently because of the Brazilian court documents and stuff. That's not known. They stopped doing that a long time ago. Do I have a problem with it? I think in general, this industry is way too secretive for its own good. I've said that multiple times. I think the industry as a whole acts like they are literally dealing in nuclear secrets with, that they have some great power that could end the world if we knew what was going on. I think it's ridiculous for gaming industry to be like this. I think that we should have more transparency if I had my way, like the movie industry, like football. We know contract details. I mean, come on. We know what players are making, individual players. We know their business, but we can't get what a game costs. We can't get how many you've sold. We can't get what it costs you to put a game in Game Pass. Like, that's just ridiculous to me. So I think as a whole, I wish this industry would get away from that and open up a little bit more. But does it bother me specifically that we don't get console numbers from MS or from Microsoft? No, it doesn't bother me. Again, I don't care. I care. I care because I'm interested. But at the end of the day, does it make my day or break my day? Nah. Not at all. We know what's going on. We had got a general feel for how things are going. So I'll just go with the VG charts numbers. They're close. They were close last gen. When you look at the Microsoft numbers, they were close.
And I think I think that's where we're at. I think speaking for us, right? Like people that are really close to the community, Pong, kind of like you were alluding to, we generally got a temperature. We kind of generally know, you know what I mean? Like we have a general idea of that information, kind of where things are going. So it's not as surprising. It's that information is not as desirable to someone like Pong, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you kind of have your foot on the pulse. You kind of knew where Xbox was at last generation. Yeah. You didn't need a chart to tell you kind of where things were going. So that's not desirable information.
Did. Yeah, nobody did. But like I said, it's too secretive anyway. Because I would, if everybody was open and we could see everybody's numbers and compare, that would make for great podcast talks, man. That would be awesome. I'd love to dive into, because I like the business side of things, right? If I could get all that from everybody and it was across the board, abso-freaking-lutely, that would be awesome. But no, at the end of the day, it doesn't. Again, we have a general feeling. We kind of get where everything's going. And again, there are places out there like VG Charts who is, for as much crap as they have taken through the years for their estimations, pretty damn close for being estimations. They did a pretty nice job. So,
yeah, for me, it doesn't really matter to me, but I would like to know. Like I like Pong's idea as far as when it comes to more transparency. As someone that's come from the automotive industry, all of that stuff, like down to not just the make and model of car that's sold, the numbers, the breakdown of what color sold, what drivetrain sold, because being in like the muscle car industry and the off-road industry. It's like how many 4 cylinders versus 6 cylinders versus V8s that sold, and you could see the enthusiast market, how large of a market it is, and compare year over year or month to month and know what months cars move, and being in the aftermarket, that stuff is crucial. So yeah, I would like to know, just like I knew all that stuff for the automotive industry, but outside of that, it just it's more so for console war stuff on like social media, which in the grand scheme of things, I always look at it the same way I look at the automotive industry. Us as enthusiasts, we're not even like 0.1% or something like that in general of the overall population that's buying this product. So it's like, even though we might be the vocal majority, but we're far, far from any type of majority in general. Like most of the casual gamers don't even know that people will talk about games on podcasts, or that people on social media will have arguments over which platform they prefer and stuff. But yeah, overall, I would just like to know the stuff, and just for my own, not even peace of mind, just for, okay, so there's more of this console in America. It's like, well, maybe I'm missing out on something if I don't have that console, or maybe I'm not seeing something that, like, much like when I was just on PS3 versus 360. It's like, yeah, I missed out on that whole 360 generation, because it's like, I just focused on what I knew, and I was all about Sony TVs, radios, and so forth. So it's, it could be useful, but
Yeah.
beyond, social media stuff, not really. Good.
Yeah. No, great.
Mav, don't come in. We went a whole show without talking about the $70, brother. We got through the entire show. Don't come in here with your comments. Fun. Listen, go make another video where you rant for a while. Please get it out of your system.
Shout out to Mav. What's up, Mav? How you doing, brother? Shout out to Mav. Shout out to Asante too. Appreciate you, bro, hanging out with us, man. But that 2 hours flew by, man. That was a phenomenal show, man. Chat, you guys are fucking awesome, going crazy. If you're just dropping in here late, go back. The link will be up right as soon as we hit close. The link will be up. Go rewatch the show. It was an amazing show once again. You guys are fucking phenomenal, bringing the heat every single week, keeping us entertained in chat, keeping us engaged with the questions. Once again, while you're on your way out, hit the like button, subscribe. Appreciate you. Come back, see us next week. But I'm gonna go ahead and let my compatriots here, talk about what they got going on and what's coming up with them. But Pong, once again, another phenomenal show, bro. I'm loving this new format. Looks like the chat's loving the new format. Chat, let us know if you guys are liking the new kind of a roundtable format. But thank you, brother, for coming out, hanging out again every week. Let everybody know where they can keep up with you, bro.
Absolutely. And Shansu dropping in here, member for 11 months, saying, great show. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Appreciate you. Mod of the year, Shansu. Listen, it was an awesome show, brothers. Even without a guest, it's us three. It's the three amigos. We get it done. And this new format, hey, I'm glad everybody's loving it. I think we're all enjoying doing it this way. So it was a great idea by PTK, both doing it this way where we each take a topic, and also ending the last half of the show with questions from the chat. Phenomenal job, PTK. I love getting the chat involved.
Thank you, sir.
We do that on a lot of our shows, and this way of doing it is unique, and it works out really well. So love it, man. But great time talking with you, brothers. Great discussions tonight. A lot going on in the gaming industry. We are heading into the busier time as we head towards the holidays, the end of summer, kids going back to school. Things are ramping up again before everybody heads to Christmas vacation in December. So we know we're going to be hearing a lot of stuff. So expect a lot of great conversations on the podcast in the weeks to come here, in the months to come. But thank you all for joining us, chat. Amazing as always. Again, Others Inc., you didn't disappoint me tonight. Listen, didn't get one last week from you, but I got a hot take tonight so I could sleep well. My weekend's set. Thank you, sir. But thank you to everybody. All love and respect for coming out and showing us the support that you always do here at the Shop Podcast. Nothing but love. Listen, you can find me Pong Soul on Xbox, Pong Soul on Twitter. Otherwise, Hit or miss Tuesdays for Xbox Factor Podcast. More misses than hits, but you got to go check out Double Barrel Gaming and Mr. Boomstick himself every Tuesday. He's got a full panel no matter who's there and who's got to be out that day. 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. All good things green every Tuesday over on Xbox Factor Podcast. Thursdays, PM in the PM Pong in the Pong and Mav in the PM, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time on Fun Speculations channel. Be there. It is a great two-man show. Mav and I get to catch up on the week. We get to chat involved. Talk 2, maybe 3 topics. This week we talked a whole list of topics, went 3 hours, which is normally longer than we normally do, and still didn't get to everything. So drop on in there. We have a great time every Thursday night, and then back on Fun Speculation channel Friday nights for Xbox Ultimate, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. You're going to get laughs. You're going to get a lot of great conversation. And, it's just a family atmosphere over there. So be there every Friday night. It is the best place to spend that time. And then Saturday mornings, you get to wake right back up again. And you get to buckle up and get ready for Living Split Screen. Split Screen, all one word, with myself and my brother from another, Steel Rain. We had another good show. We actually had to cut it under 4 hours today. 40 hours. Yeah, maybe one day we'll do 40 hours. 4 hours today. We had to cut it under that because Steele had an appointment, which is rare. Some people in the chat were complaining because they didn't get a full show, according to them, because we didn't go 4 hours. That's what we've set up as an expectation. So you know what you're going to get there. High energy, lots of good talk, chat involved throughout the entire show. Every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Again, that's Living Split Screen. Be there, tell a friend, bring a friend, because we are on Mission 1K. Otherwise, people, the golden age of gaming is here. Yes, delay season is still in full effect, but it does not matter because we have more games than we know what to do with. At least most of us do. So get out there, enjoy it, have a great rest of your weekend. Play what you love what you play, and I'm going to talk to you all real soon.
Appreciate you. And shout out to Gabe for the last minute 199 super chat, man. Appreciate you all answering the chat questions. No, we appreciate you, Gabe, for showing up every single week, allowing us to do this, bro. You guys make this what it is. So shout out to the super chat. If that's how you guys want to support, you can always join and be a member. You get some cool stuff when you become a member. Shout out to everybody who are already members of the Shop Podcast family as well, or you can support via super chat as well. We don't care. You just being here is always awesome. Thank you guys so much. But let's go and get this over to you, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, keeping it smooth, bro. Let everybody know where they can find you, G.
Well, just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, and always awesome being on here with you guys, my brothers in arms. It is just this new format. I'm loving it, and I just greatly appreciate the people in the chat enjoying this as well. For anybody that wants to hear my ramblings on gaming or anything gaming related, just follow me on Twitter at @fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on FSP on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fun Speculations channel. You can also find me on Breakfast with Boom on Friday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Double Barrel Gaming's channel. And then Friday evening, like Pong mentioned, on Xbox Ultimate at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fun Speculations channel. And then once again, right back here on the Shop Podcast on PTK Blam's channel. Love being here with you guys. Thanks again.
Awesome. Appreciate you once again bringing the smoothness every single week, man. We appreciate you so much. Shout out to Awful Grim. Like I said, bro, don't worry about it. You do not have to support in that way. You just being here is awesome, man. Thank you so much, Awful. But once again, your host with the most here, PTK Blam. Appreciate you guys. Follow me on Twitter. All of that information is in the description below. Same time, same place. We have a very, very, very special guest. I already got it lined up for next week. I will let you guys know on Monday who that guest is. I'm extremely excited. And I feel privileged to have this person on here. So we're going to be a really fire show next week. I'll let you guys know Monday. Once again, look out for that poll of the week on Monday as well, coming from my Twitter account. So follow me there. Shout out to everybody watching. Stanley. Peace out, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. Peace out. Love you guys.
Later.